Previously on World History and Geography.
The first civilization and culture arose in Mesopotamia, located near the Tigris and Euphrates rivers in southwest Asia, often referred to as the Middle East today. To the south, the cultures of the Arabian Peninsula were in constant contact with one another for centuries. Southwest Asia is at the crossroads of Africa, Asia, and Europe, where goods were traded and new ideas were shared. In the 7th century CE, one of the shared ideas became a powerful force for change in the world: the religion of Islam.
And now, our feature presentation.
The Arabian Peninsula is about 1,200 miles from north to south and 1,300 miles from east to west. Only a tiny strip of fertile land in the south and a few oases can support any agriculture. The remainder of the land is desert, which in the past was inhabited by nomadic Arab herders. On this desert, the Arab nomads, called Bedouins, were organized into tribes and groups called clans. These clans provided security and support for a life made difficult by the extreme conditions of the desert. The Bedouin ideals of courage and loyalty to family, along with their warrior skills, would later influence the Islamic way of life. The areas with more fertile soil and the larger oases had enough water to support farming communities. By the early 600s, many Arabs had chosen to settle in an oasis or in a market town. Larger towns near the western coast of Arabia became market towns for local, regional, and long-distance trade goods. By the early 600s, trade routes connected Arabia to the major ocean and land trade routes of Afro-Eurasia. Mecca, in western Arabia, was a trading city but also a religious center of worship for the many gods and spirits of the Bedouins. During certain holy months, religious pilgrims came to worship at an ancient shrine in Mecca called the Kaaba. The Kaaba contained over 360 idols brought by the many Arab tribes. They associated the Kaaba with Abraham, a Hebrew prophet who was also associated with Judaism and Christianity. Many Christians and Jews lived on the Arabian Peninsula and practiced monotheism, a religion with a belief in only one God called Allah in Arabic. Most religions of that time were polytheistic, where followers worshiped more than one God. Into this mixed monotheistic and polytheistic environment of Mecca, Muhammad was born around CE 570. Muhammad was born into the clan of a powerful Meccan family. Orphaned at the age of 6, Muhammad was raised by his grandfather and uncle, and also learned the ways of the Bedouin culture in the desert. He began working in the caravan trade as a very young man. At the age of 25, Muhammad became a trader and a business manager for Khadijah, a successful businesswoman. Later, Muhammad and Khadijah married. Theirs was both a good marriage and a good business partnership. Muhammad took great interest in religion and often spent time alone in prayer and meditation. At about the age of 40, Muhammad's life was changed overnight when a voice called to him while he meditated in a cave outside of Mecca. According to Muslim belief, the voice was that of the angel Gabriel, who told Muhammad that he was a messenger of Allah. Afterward, with much soul-searching, Muhammad came to believe that the Lord who spoke to him through Gabriel was Allah. Muhammad became convinced that he was the last of the prophets or messengers of God, ending the line of monotheistic prophets including Abraham, Moses, and Jesus. He began to teach that Allah was the one and only God, and that all other gods must be abandoned. People who agreed to this basic principle of Islam were called Muslims. In Arabic, Islam means submission to the will of God. Muslim means one who has submitted. Muhammad's wife Khadijah and several close friends and relatives were his first followers, the first Muslims. By 613 CE, Muhammad had begun to preach publicly in Mecca, but he met with some hostility. Many Meccans believed his revolutionary religious ideas would lead to neglect of the traditional Arab gods. They feared that Mecca would lose its position and money as a pilgrimage center if people accepted Muhammad's monotheistic beliefs. After some of his followers had been attacked, Muhammad decided to leave Mecca in 622 CE. Following a small band of supporters he sent ahead, Muhammad moved over 200 miles to the north of Mecca to the town of Yathrib. This migration became known as the Hijra. The Hijra to Yathrib marked a turning point for Muhammad and his followers in their faith. In fact, the Hijra marks the start of year 1 of the Islamic calendar. The Islamic calendar is a true lunar calendar with 12 months, but only 354 or 355 days a year. As a result, a year using the Islamic calendar is shorter than a year using the International Standard Calendar we use today. Anyway, Yathrib was later renamed Medina, which translates to city, as in the city of the Prophet, and is the final resting place of the Prophet Muhammad, and is the location where Muhammad built his first mosque. Today it is considered the second most holy city for Muslims behind Mecca. As a religious leader, he drew many more converts who found his message appealing. Muhammad also became a military leader due to the growing hostilities between Mecca's business and religious leaders and the Muslims in Medina. Armed conflict broke out over these two groups, but surprisingly, the Muslims gained the upper hand. With each military victory, the Muslims were able to gain more converts. In 630 CE, the Prophet and his followers entered Mecca in triumph. He destroyed the idols in the Kaaba and had the call to prayer made from its roof. Most Meccans pledged their loyalty to Muhammad, and many converted to Islam. By doing so, they joined the Ummah, or Muslim religious community. Islam spread rapidly on the Arabian Peninsula, unifying the Arabs under Islam. Muhammad died 2 years later at about the age of 62. The main teaching of Islam is that there is only one God, Allah. All other beliefs and practices follow from this teaching. Islam teaches that there is good and evil, and that each individual is responsible for the actions of his or her life. To be a Muslim, all believers have to carry out 5 duties. These duties are often known as the 5 pillars of Islam. The first pillar is shahada, or faith. To become a Muslim, a person has to testify to the following statement of faith. There is no God but Allah, and Muhammad is the messenger of Allah. This simple statement is heard again and again in Islamic rituals and in Muslim daily life. The second is salat, or prayer. 5 times a day, dawn, noon, mid-afternoon, sunset, and night, Muslims face toward Mecca to pray. If you're in Mecca, you face the Grand Mosque. If you're in the Grand Mosque, you face the Kaaba. Muslims may pray while they are alone, or they may pray in groups at a mosque. Before praying, Muslims are expected to complete a ceremonial washing. If no water is present, like in the middle of the Arabian desert, sand may be used for the ceremonial washing. The third is Sawm, or fasting. During the Islamic holy month of Ramadan, Muslims fast between dawn and sunset. A simple meal is eaten at the end of the day. Fasting serves to remind Muslims that their spiritual needs are greater than their physical needs. Ramadan is the 9th month in the Islamic calendar, and since a year is shorter in the Islamic calendar, Ramadan occurs 10 to 11 days earlier each year in our calendar. The fourth pillar is zakat, or alms, or charity. Muhammad taught that all Muslims have a responsibility to support the less fortunate. Muslims often meet that social responsibility by giving alms, or money for the poor, through a special religious tax. The fifth and final duty for Muslims is the Hajj, or pilgrimage. All Muslims who are physically and financially able perform the Hajj, or pilgrimage, to Mecca at least once in their lifetime. The Hajj is not a simple vacation trip to Mecca. Muslims take part in a number of rituals and ceremonies during the Hajj. Over basically a 5-day period, the men will dress in 2 plain pieces of cloth called an ihram, and all pilgrims will walk to Mount Arafat, sleep overnight out in the open at Muzdalifah, throw pebbles at the devil, represented in the form of a stone pillar, circle the Kaaba 7 times in a counterclockwise direction, like if the hands on a clock were going backward. That's an old school clock, not a digital clock. Anyway, Muslims perform other religious duties on the Hajj too. Carrying out the 5 pillars of Islam ensures that Muslims live their religion while serving in their community. Along with the 5 pillars, there are other customs, morals, and laws of Islamic society that affect Muslims' daily lives. Believers are forbidden to eat pork or to drink intoxicating beverages. Friday afternoons are set aside for communal worship. Unlike many other religions, Islam has no clergy or central religious authority. Every Muslim is expected to worship Allah directly. Islam does, however, have a scholar class called the ulama.
Ulama, or ulema.
The ulama includes religious teachers who apply the words and deeds of Muhammad to everyday life. The original source of authority for Muslims is Allah. According to Islamic belief, Allah expressed his will through the angel Gabriel, who revealed it to Muhammad. While Muhammad lived, his followers memorized and recited the revelations he received from Gabriel. Soon after the Prophet's death, it was suggested that these revelations be collected in a book. This book is the Quran, or Quran, the holy book of the Muslims. Because the Quran was revealed to Muhammad in Arabic, the Quran was written down in Arabic, and Muslims consider only the Arabic version to be the true word of Allah. Hey, did you know that when reading Arabic, one reads from right to left? Now you know. Only Arabic is used in worship.
فهمتك جيدا.
Wherever Muslims carried the Quran, Arabic became the language of worshippers and scholars. Thus, the Arabic language helped unite conquered peoples as Muslim control expanded. Muslims believe that Muhammad's mission as a prophet was to receive the Quran and to demonstrate how to apply it in life. To them, the Sunnah, or Muhammad's example, is the best model for proper living. The guidance of the Quran and Sunnah was assembled in a body of law known as Sharia. This system of law regulates the family life, moral conduct, and business and community life of Muslims. To Muslims, Allah is the same God that is worshipped in Christianity and Judaism, the God of Abraham. However, Muslims view Jesus as a prophet, not as the Son of God. They regard the Quran as the word of Allah, as revealed to Muhammad, in the same way that the Jews and Christians believe that the Torah and Gospels were revealed to Moses and the New Testament writers. Muslims believe that the Quran perfects the earlier revelations. For Muslims, it is the final book, and Muhammad is the final prophet. The Muslims trace their ancestry to Abraham, as do the Jews and Christians. All three religions believe in heaven and hell and a day of judgment. Muslims refer to Christians and Jews as people of the book, because each religion has a holy book with teachings similar to those of the Quran. Sharia law requires Muslim leaders to extend religious tolerance to Christians and Jews. After the death of Muhammad, a massive Muslim empire quickly grew in Afro-Eurasia to include people of many different cultures and religions.
مع السلامة. فهمتك جيدا.